So let's look at where we're at. 20 years. 20 years ago, 1997, a little more than 20 years ago, the world emitted 24 gigatons of CO2. And then we signed Kyoto. We went to 31. Then we signed Copenhagen and Paris, and today it's about 36 gigatons of CO2. And of course, Canada has a role in that too. We're a contributor all along the way. We emit about 600 megatons, so 0.6 gigatons of CO2 here in Canada. And of course, there's great pressure to reduce that and reduce greenhouse gases. And for the record, I am all for that. I do believe in climate change. I think we have to do something about it. And as a responsible, developed country, we do have to do something. But let's keep things in perspective. This is global emissions, and I show Canada there. We're about 1.6%, and I'm not talking about the energy industry, I'm talking about the country. So this is driving our cars, flying planes, this is every industry in the country, manufacturing, agriculture, forestry, oil and gas. We're 1.6%. So we have to keep that in perspective. And what's happened over the last years? Well, in the last 10 years, China has increased their emissions by 3 gigatons, so that's 5 Canadas in the last 10 years. India has increased their emissions by 2 Canadas in the last 10 years. So while we're sitting here fighting amongst ourselves, decimating the energy industry, other countries are still increasing their emissions because, of course, their people are living in poverty and they're trying to get them out of poverty. Much of this is, of course, the use of coal in electrical power generation. At the same time, the European Union is making some progress. They reduced their emissions by basically 1 Canada, and the United States by 900 megatons, a Canada and a half. And not many people know this, but, the U.S. is under a lot of criticism. They're threatening to pull out of Paris. Last week or 2 weeks ago, Trump relaxed emission standards on cars. So they're under a lot of criticism. They're bad, they're not doing a good job, they're not responsible. They're actually leading the world in emission reduction. Does anybody know why? Natural gas. They discovered natural gas in cheap, abundant, reliable quantities. So they're displacing coal use in power generation with natural gas. That is the lowest hanging fruit on the planet, is displacing coal. And the United States is doing it in spades, and they're leading the world on reductions. While we sit here and we fight, the United States is actually doing something about emission reductions. And there's Canada. So we've been fighting for 20 years, and we're about flat over the last 10 years. We haven't done anything. So there has to be a better way. We have to start thinking of a more constructive conversation.